just lowered the carbon footprint of our existing technologies, meaning cars and power plants, buildings, refineries, things like that, we're still destined to increase the level of CO2 in the atmosphere to very high levels and dangerous levels. We actually have to reverse the equation. We have to sequester CO2 and actively sequester CO2, where the levels of CO2 in the atmosphere will continue to rise and exponentially continue to rise, and this will result in what we've observed in the ocean, in the atmosphere, and the temperature of the Earth. Many climate modelers feel that we need to mitigate about 7 billion tons of CO2 going to the atmosphere every year today. That's a couple of orders of magnitude, or more than the amount of CO2 humans have ever processed before. So taking that magnitude into the built environment, where we're producing 12.5 billion tons of concrete every year, and concrete is the most commonly used building material, we actually can address the entire problem in the built environment.
A third of China's carbon dioxide emissions, which now exceed those of the United States, come from the making of Portland cement. So what's exciting about the Calera process is that it's a scientifically plausible, economically sensible approach to solving both of these problems at once. I'm not a scientist, and I don't know exactly what the final cost of this process will be like, and cost is going to be very important. But I do know that the alternative approach is mostly being talked about. The idea that somehow we will take these gases, which are a mixture of nitrogen and carbon dioxide and all kinds of other things, we'll separate the carbon dioxide out, we'll liquefy it, we'll pump it underground, and then we'll be fine. That approach, which I call injection sequestration, just doesn't seem to me, even as a non-scientist, very plausible to make economic sense.
Our process involves the natural equilibrium of carbon dioxide with seawater, and from that we form carbonate and calcium and magnesium carbonate minerals in the water. This natural process occurs on coral reefs every day, where photosynthesis of plants which live in the tissue of corals takes CO2 out of seawater, and carbonate is formed, which is how coral skeleton is formed. So in many ways, our process is akin to the native process of the formation of coral.
The terrific thing about the Calera process is that it uses the energy which has already been created as heat in the flue gases to drive a chemical reaction which produces not a potentially deadly liquid stream of carbon dioxide, but a potentially extraordinarily valuable product, cement. From what I've seen, there are enough power plants around the world, either on the shores of the oceans or in regions of the world where there's lots and lots of minerals in the groundwater, that you really ought to be able to replace most of the world's need for cement with a byproduct of sequestering most of the world's power plant emissions of carbon dioxide. That would be game-changing.